Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of week again. We have just watched the latest Doctor Who episode of Series 13 Flux, which is Once Upon Time, and now we're going to sit down and review it. So, I'm joined by Corey today. How are we doing, Corey?
All right. I'm not really going to elaborate more than that currently. We'll get into more later on.
Fantastic. I suppose initial thoughts are probably where we should start off with. Do you want to hit it off?
Yeah, I can, yeah. My feelings on the end, like, when it got to the end, I was like, right. A lot just happened, but nothing happened at the same time. I'm not sure what I'm feeling. I wasn't feeling excitement. I wasn't feeling hatred. There might have been a little bit of disappointment in there. It's just a lot of things happened without much really happening. Like, a lot of things went off at the same time whilst the plot didn't really develop anywhere. It was just kind of just answering loads of questions and setting up more of the rest of the series. There were some exciting moments in there with, with the fugitive doctor and all, but I'm not too sure really. It's a bit of like a, I don't know yet. Maybe a second viewing might clear the mist a bit, perhaps. How do you compare?
I share more or less the same points there, except I know exactly how I feel about it. I feel infuriated and confused. This episode was awful. This episode is the definition of filler. Just... what happened? Obviously we carried on from the War of the Sontarans, which was a brilliant episode, may I say. Probably the best of the Chibnall era, in my opinion.
Definitely agree. No, that is true. Absolutely agree there, 100%.
Definitely. And then we get this. This does not continue the plot in any meaningful way. It's more or less just a slideshow of just, like you said, just answering questions that didn't really have satisfying answers. It hops all about the place, it had the problem with the first episode where it was a bit confusing, jumps about the place. I could let it get away with that one because it's the first episode of the series. I want to introduce things. No, this one doesn't have the excuse to do that. I mean, having this sort of format in the placement of this series it is in, the third episode in, it was just jarring. It wasn't continuing anything. It was just... I will actually say I hated this episode. It was bad. I don't want to see it again. There was so many times I just wanted to turn it off. Couldn't stand it. Can I just say, right, I just thought as well, the way they resolved the cliffhanger was bizarre. They resolved it by resolving it later. Like, when it opened up with the previously, I thought they was going to continue the cliffhanger and resolve it straight away. But then I was like, Belle? Who is this? Who on earth? What? Where's this? What's going off now? Why? Sorry? Yeah, why are we introducing her in now? That's it. It's trying to introduce more things. About halfway through the episode, I realised it's all going to be exactly the same place they were at the end of last week. So it literally nothing's happened. As you said in your words, so much stuff happened, but nothing actually happened, and that really annoys me.
Had they started off with her jumping onto the things and setting things up, and that would have been cool. That would have been quite an exciting way to start the episode, and then maybe cut away to Belle or whatever her name is, but to start off at that point was a bit confusing.
It is. And it's just lazy as well, because they could have explored these people's pasts in more inventive ways, but no, they chose this route. Basically, exposition dump the episode. Once upon exposition dump.
Shall we move on? I don't want to ramble on too much.
Yeah, let's move on, yeah. Okay, so next, characters and villains. I'll start off with this one. I don't know.
That's very specific.
Yeah, I know. Okay, the Doctor. You know what? I still don't really like this incarnation, but I found in the last 2 episodes she's actually becoming the Doctor, as in, I don't know, I just like her more in these. Like, she's not nearly as annoying and bubbly and whatever she usually is, and just being, like, if you started off like this in Series 11, I probably would have had a bit more patience and time. Yaz, fine. Well, not fine, she's still bad, but... just Yaz. Dan, obviously this episode dealt with a lot, so I didn't expect him to be at the forefront so much, but he was just there. Did you get that vibe? He was just there?
Yeah, I'd say they were all just there, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, maybe all of them were, but Dan, especially, which is what made me think of this, at the end where they're dropping Vinder off at, whatever planet, it almost felt like the writers were like, okay, 2 episodes in, he's a well-established character now, so, yeah. It just felt like we should expect him there. We should, be like, take him for granted, but we shouldn't. He's still 2 episodes in. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like I said, the plot wasn't exactly revolving around in this episode, but I don't know. It's just how I felt initially, really.
Yeah, I'd say, it was trying to develop them all a little bit without doing too much. Vinder got the most of the focus, being the newest character that we didn't know too much about, so we now know more about him than everybody else. But you are right, like Yaz was just there, Dan was just there. They were being hidden in their own time stream so they don't get killed or whatever. Obviously the Doctor, we're getting better now, that darker edge, that more focus, as opposed to that childish sort of nature. And again at the end, conflict between 13 and Yaz. That's going somewhere. I think that's definitely going to go somewhere. And then, the fugitive Doctor, so that's a good confirmation that she's going to be involved at some point. She will be back, of course. Got to.
Oh, you know what? I rolled my eyes when I saw it. I don't like her. I mean, to be fair, it's probably because I link her to the Timeless Child. I think people know by now I can't stand that addition to Doctor Who lore, and she's more or less a symbol of that for me, and I just couldn't stand seeing her again. So, moving on from that, Vinder, fine. Just fine. Nothing special. He's not the most thrilling character. I like him a hell of a lot more than I do Yaz, don't get me wrong, but it's just nothing that interesting about him to me.
They made his backstory up to be something, well, I say made it up to be, I'm sure last time they said something like he did something, and now he's kind of repenting that by doing what he was doing in that station.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot more exciting than he disobeyed an order or whatever the f*** he did, didn't he?
He grassed up his boss.
Oh, that was it. Oh dear, blimey. You get that in the UK all the time. Who other characters were there? Oh yeah, Belle, I suppose. That was the name of the girl, wasn't it? Yeah, so, again, don't know anything about her, apart from the fact that she's shrouded by plot armour, so 10 Cybermen can't land a single shot on her, apparently. What the hell? Honestly, that was the point where I just paused. I just needed to vent. I just stop it, please.
Well, she needs to be alive for the rest of the plot.
Well, maybe stop making the scenarios so, just unrealistic. What other characters were there? There was that old woman who was fiddling about with wires. I don't know what the hell that scene was about. And other than that, characters, if we're not talking about villains just yet, I think I introduced this segment saying characters and villains. I can't remember. I don't care. Okay, yeah, villains then, I suppose, unless I'm forgetting any other characters that actually really mattered to the plot.
Oh, Diane.
She didn't matter to the plot. So, villains then. Do you want to kick us off with this one?
Yeah, I've just said Cybermen disappointing. I was really hoping there'd be much more than a cameo.
Yeah, I had the vibe that outside of that shot we saw in the trailer, we weren't going to see much of them. And you know what? I'm not disappointed, really. I'm not mad for this design. And the Cybermen have just been misused so much in the last few years. So whenever I see them pop up in the trailers, ugh.
Yeah. But do you want to know who else made a cameo as well?
The Daleks?
Badly CGI Daleks, yeah.
Oh my... Do you remember that amazing spectacle that was Revolution of the Daleks? Hovering outside of whatever city it was, I can't remember now. But the Daleks looked just incredible in that scene. And now how have we gone to this? It's do you remember that trailer going about on Facebook for some Doctor Who video game or some experience or something where it had a really badly rendered CGI Dalek?
Oh yeah, probably Edge of Reality.
Yeah, it had Time Lords and Cybermen in it as well, but I remember that Dalek shot looking especially bad. It looks like they literally just plucked those Daleks and slapped it in that scene. It was just dreadful. So yeah, Cybermen, Daleks.
Yeah, so Swarm and Azure just kind of had a backseat they literally sat down for the whole episode, essentially.
Yeah, but do you know what? The more I see of Swarm, the more I love him, because I just love his flamboyancy. I really enjoy that about
To be
him.
fair, I do. I do think he has a Joker feel about him. I honestly do.
He does. I mean, that sort of jokerness is Jared Leto, but that works really well in this favour, because obviously this is not the Joker.
Yeah, of course. No, I think it's still good. Still very intriguing how they fit into the Doctor's past, of course. And it obviously, so we got to see Swarm in his previous form. That was quite cool. That line where he said, to reign in hell. Like, his face looked twisted and weird. Like, he enjoyed that.
The rain in hell bit, yeah, don't get me wrong. Fantastic. It really shows how twisted it is, but in the context of the episode, it's a bit disappointing because it seems to be, that's his motive, is it? Just domination.
It kind of feels like they're like, oh, we're here now, and now we're done. See you later. It all seemed to go to plan. This was the plan, after all. Like, they were happy that it went wrong, and then that's fine. We'll continue, and we'll see each other again later on.
Yeah, but overall, definitely the best villainous presence of the episode and the series. I mean, excluding the Sontarans.
Naturally, yes.
So next, Weeping Angels. Interesting. Admittedly, I'm not thrilled to see them back. That's not me saying I don't like them. They are a fantastic villain, obviously. But, just overexposure over the years has just numbed me to them. But I'm interested to see where the direction they're taking with it. Definitely. I'm hoping we're going to get some justice for our stony boys. Or girls, rather.
I think they didn't really need to appear in the first episode or this one. Like, that cliffhanger on its own would have been good enough. That cliffhanger alone, with that next time trailer, would be sick.
Well, either way, it's going to be intriguing to see what happens. Their face is different. I don't know if I like it. And I suppose, lastly, we've got to talk about the passengers. The good old big beefy villain boys that you can find the mask on eBay for about 11 quid. So good old work there, Doctor Who costume department.
I don't really mind that, to be honest. But the idea is not what I was expecting. So they hold people. They what, prisons? They contain people? That's different.
It is different. I assumed it was going to be just a one-off goon. So it's nice to see an interesting concept there. Yeah, hopefully a bigger role to play. We'll see how that goes. But I think that wraps up villains and characters, unless you've got any other side notes there.
I just remember the Mori.
Oh, the Mori, yeah. I mean, they're kind of cool, but their design, it sort of reminds me of a Packer Rabanne advert. But yeah, so I guess what's next? Cinematography, was it? And, just general production values?
Yeah, cinematography and things like that.
Yeah. Fine, some lovely shots scattered about there, but I found that the budget for the CGI must have gone downhill at this point because, one, as we've already touched on, what were those Daleks? Like, seriously, they looked better in 2005 than they did there. Two, there was some green screens that looked a bit dodgy, like when the Doctor was in that purple storm thing, especially when the characters would, when she was talking to Yaz and that, and then they'd shrink out of existence or whatever. That looked terrible. Actually, no, the Daleks were definitely the worst offender, but do you remember those particles of the Time Force or something?
The blue stuff, the blue things.
That looked like, when you go on Microsoft Paint and you use the spray can tool, that looked exactly like that.
Oh, yes.
It was terrible. It was so bad. But yeah, no, other than that, the sets were nice. Some really good looking shots, like when they were, in that desert with the Temple of Atropos just before they storm in. Just fine. Can't really complain about for the most part, apart from the CGI. What about you?
Yeah, there was some good and some bad. I'd say there was some good scenery, some good shots, some good sets, But again, the Daleks were noticeable. They were noticeably CGI, which makes you wonder why they wasn't using the actual prop. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I think music. Music has been actually quite a high point for me. Past this series so far, I have enjoyed his music. It's quite good. I actually do quite enjoy it. I have enjoyed bits of his music, from the first 2 series, but I think this one is where it's kind of starting to pick up more and be more unique and be more noticeable, like in terms of the various themes that he's created.
I can definitely agree with that. They're standing out more to me. There'll just be times when I'm watching it, it's like, oh, that sounds alright. That's never happened in the first 2 series, so something's definitely happening.
So, Sam, it's time for the cringe of the week. I'm sure you've got many. I'm sure you've got a few in your head, haven't you?
I'm going to surprise you. I didn't really cringe this episode. I was just more infuriated. In terms of dialogue, it was fine for the most part, from what I remember. There was some just bits where I was like, what the hell are you saying? But there was nothing I cringed at as such. I'm just glad to see it's not the era of series 11 and 12 where more or less every other thing's said. You just roll your eyes because oh, these people. But no, honestly, I don't know what to say.
I didn't really cringe at anything. I suppose, when the angel was on the TARDIS and 13 went, "Don't blink," and then Dan went, "I think I blinked." I think that's just so. That's such a Dan thing to say. He would say that, wouldn't he? You knew he was going to say that. Could you class the Dalek scene as being cringy?
That wasn't even cringy. That was just offensive.
See, last week we kind of gave the cringe of the week to Dan for just being Dan. It wouldn't be right to give it to him again.
If we're not going to give it to Dan, shall we just award it to the terrible CGI?
Let's do it. Okay, CGI Daleks wins the award.
My Daleks did not get justice. So that brings us to the end, does it not? Oh wait, we got to read out the other guys' reviews as well, don't we?
I'll take George. George's thoughts, his first message was, "I didn't like it. That's how I feel. I just feel numb. Do you know when someone is trying to be smart but it doesn't work? Stuff happens, but I don't feel anything. So lost, convoluted." Yeah, he's quite amazed at how this 2008 Dalek CGI looked better than this. Yeah, the green screen was something else. But everything in space looked beautiful. This is definitely the weakest episode, but next week does seem interesting. So to summarise George's thoughts, he didn't like it very much. What did Farron think? Because this could be surprising.
I loved it. It had heart and emotion, gave us some answers, but still kept the intrigue. Great set pieces, good dialogue, and good character moments finally. Intriguing, fun, and emotional. 8 out of 10.
I'm not doing my own ratings at the moment. I'll wait till the very, very end.
Well, I'm going to give my rating 3 out of 10. Actually, you know what? I'm going to knock it down to 2 out of 10. The grace of a 2 is because there are definitely worse episodes out there.
Mate, we're not playing Limbo. It's not how low can you go.
True.
Yeah, I guess I came out of this thing feeling a little bit flat, not too sure what to think. A lot happened. There were some good bits, definitely some good bits, but a lot happened and it didn't really go anywhere. I think that's it, really. It's just kind of middle ground. If we're talking in old money, it would be hovering around the "it failed, it didn't fail" sort of mark.
I just realised something.
Go on.
Why was it called Once Upon Time when it wasn't really set on time either?
Very, very good point.
Misleading title. But I think on that note, we should wrap up. Okay, guys, and that was our thoughts on Once Upon Time. Please consider liking and subscribing this video if you liked it, and also if you have contrasting or even matching opinions of ours, feel free to leave a comment below, and we shall see you next time.
Ta-ra for now.
See you later. Bye!